Hello and welcome to Serial at Midnight. I'm Heath and I've got a review for you guys for the new Arrow box set, Gothic Fantastico. This is 4 Italian Gothic movies in a very wonderful, restored, loaded with special features package. I'm a huge fan of this box set. This is maybe a release of the year for me. Now, Arrow is no stranger to well-curated and preserved Italian cinema collections. We've got Sartana, just a few examples from my collection. Vengeance Trails, which is spaghetti westerns. There are Road Cops, Racketeers. The Giallo collections, Sergio Martino. They've always done a really good job at presenting these movies with fantastic restorations and lots of behind-the-scenes information. This is no exception, and as I say, this has become instantly one of my favorites box sets. I love Italian cinema. Let's talk a little bit about Italian cinema. Let's talk about Gothic cinema. Gothic dealing with themes of... So Gothic hallmarks, in addition to the visual stuff, which is, it was a dark and stormy night. Castles, rain, lightning, perhaps. We're also dealing with, decay, aristocracy, the burden of power. And Italian movies it's a very unique tone, right? Italian movies are often very dreamlike. They're less concerned with reality. They're less concerned with if something makes sense than if it's emotionally resonant. Which is why Giallo is such a complicated genre, because they don't have to make sense. They don't have to connect all the dots. It's more about how it feels than, does this all check out? Dreamlike. That's really the thing. Dreamlike. We see it in so much of Italian cinema, and we see it here. There's a lot of really interesting dreamlike things. Let's talk about first, before I launch into the movies, here's a tour of the package. If you want to freeze that so you can read everything, I'm going to say this is the limited edition. Sometimes I get questions, should I get the limited edition or just wait for a standard? I think the bells and whistles here are worth the upgrade. We'll talk about them in a second, but there's an 80-page book and a poster, and I think that they're both really cool. The 80-page book is amazing. All right, so let's talk about the movies themselves. We have Lady Morgan's Vengeance, which is essentially Gothic gaslighting. But because it's an Italian movie, everything that you're expecting... So this woman is, she's in love with someone else, but she's betrothed to another. And the guy that she's betrothed to doesn't take too kindly to being put on the back burner. So he and his mistress start making her think that she's crazy. So... gaslighting, right? But then you're like, okay, well that's only the first half of the movie, and then where it goes in the next half, that's when it gets super Italian, and you're like, I have no idea. That's the thing about these movies. You have no idea where they're going to go. So Lady Morgan's Vengeance, it has, rather than me read all of this stuff to you, I'll flip it around and you can, again, freeze and check out all these special features, commentaries. Every single one of these has an on-camera video introduction. It says, by Italian film devotee Mark Thompson Ashworth. He knows his stuff. So the way he's doing these is he's essentially looking off camera. I think he's reading. You can kind of tell when someone's reading. But it's great information, and he really knows his stuff. He's got great thoughts about these movies. And then there's also video essays. There's interviews with the people who are still alive. It just goes on. And I like the brand new video interview with Erica Blanc. She's a queen from... the Italian film. Here's our teaser for Desperado. And we have reversible art for all of these that replicate the original. I'll probably be flipping these around because I do much prefer original poster art. This is good, but I mean, give me vintage, man. Give me vintage. This set was co-produced by Kat Ellinger, too. I want to shout that out. She's so prolific, right? She's so many commentaries. But this set was co-produced. The discs, the booklet, co-produced, curated, Kat Ellinger. The Blanche film monster is monster locked in the top of a tower, essentially. Very, very, very 60s is kind of what it is. And I think there's an essay in the booklet that kind of references the Corman nature of it all. So here, let me flip that around for you, and you can read all those special features yourself. But again, another video introduction, another commentary, video essays, new video interview with author and filmmaker Antonio Tintori. And here's the reversible, or I say reversible, here's the alternate artwork for this. They've tagged Edgar Allan Poe horror, that's an alternate title for this movie. I would say the Poe, it's exploitation, right? The Poe cycle was gangbusters at the time. Is it really Poe? It certainly draws from Poe. So those are good. This is great. The Third Eye, Franco Nero. So this is one movie before he becomes Django. He stars in this movie. And because of the production schedule and everything, Django would actually hit theaters first. But he shot this right before Django. Franco Nero is an amazing actor. He's been in so many different kinds of movies. It's a shame to me. I was talking about this somewhere. I think it was on the Patreon Facebook group. By the way, thanks to everyone that supports us. If you give us a thumbs up, if you subscribe to this channel, if you're a Patreon supporter, however you support us, thank you so much. But I was talking to, I think it was the Patreon supporters, and I was talking about how there's so many Italian movies that we don't get outside of Europe. They just never got dubbed. They never got released. Like Lucio Fulci, there's a ton of comedies that Fulci did. There's like spy movies and like bank robber movies. And will we ever see those? I hope so. But, Franco Nero is in so many movies and we just have a fraction of them on disc here. So now we have another, which is great. So The Third Eye is heavy under the influence of Psycho. But again, the influences that these movies have, Poe, whatever, gets filtered through this Italian dreamlike, very passionate, emotional filter and becomes its own thing. And again, like when you think this movie is going to end, you're like, oh, well, this person's dead now and this plot point's been resolved. Still like another 30 minutes left. And it's like Lady Morgan's Vengeance. You got the first half of it figured out, then it continues to go on for like 45 more minutes. And you're like, oh, it just keeps going. They surprise you. They keep surprising you. So I loved this one. This was... I don't even know. I'm sure they're telling you things here that I wouldn't necessarily want to say. But because I want you to experience these for yourself. But Franco Nero was pretty great in this. He's pretty great. Say commentary, video introduction, audio commentary. Let's see, video essay. Got an Erica Blanc interview. Here's the reversible artwork for this one. There's the disc. Isn't that great? And then the final disc is the most controversial is not the right word. It's the most surprising because The Witch, or what's the alternate title for this one? I'll go ahead and show you. You can connect it to Gothic. You can say that it's Gothic, but so it takes place in, a lot of these, there's cars and stuff. It's not like, necessarily stagecoaches and, Hammer. They're not Hammer movies. But this one particularly has like this jazz, samba, bossa nova soundtrack. It's got this whole Brazilian kind of a very, very mid-60s. And it just feels different. It feels happy, even though it's not happy. And this one has Gian Maria Volente, the bad guy from A Fistful of Dollars. It's always great to see him pop up in things, and this is a very different role for him. You know these actors, even if you don't know these movies, you know these actors. This is interesting because this guy he's sort of a bookish academic ladies' man. He gets an offer. Well, he ends up getting an offer to go work in this library and catalog all these like erotic stories and things and like transcribe that this woman's husband had written. And there's this beautiful Italian woman there, young woman that he's smitten by, and it gets real complicated. And it's not like it is. You do see Gothic, right? Because you've got the big building, you've got loneliness, but it's so much more. It's psychological. It's fantastic. And I gather from the commentary and from what I've read about this movie that this is a favorite for Kat Ellinger, and I see why. It's amazing. This is the star of the show, but it's also the one that's the most different and the most surprising. So here's the the back of the box. You get a reversible double-sided poster here, which is one of the reasons I think you should spring for the limited edition. So one side has the horror, the Edgar Allan Poe side. The other is that gorgeous Franco Nero poster. I wish that we got all 4 of these if they could have done one more double-sided poster, but I know the cost for these things is not cheap. This is the real star of the show. This is an 80-page book that comes with so many informative essays about these movies. The standout, maybe, I don't know. There probably is no standout because they're all great. But An Experiment in Terror, an introduction to the Italian Gothic. So it's a little bit of what we talked about here, but it's by Roberto Curti, who has written multiple books, like a series of books about Italian Gothic cinema, breaking them down by era, by year and era. So it's great stuff. And he's footnoted his essays. His essay in here is full of footnotes. Every page has footnotes for where he's like sending you to further research. I mean, look at how dense this is. And that's just one of multiple. They're all so dense. I mean, this is super informative. So if you're interested, it's one thing to throw these movies on at, 11 o'clock at night and just kind of vibe to them while you're relaxing or whatever. It's another thing to want to learn more about them. You get both. And that's why I think the limited edition is the way to go, because you are getting the fun movie. They're fun. They're great to watch. But you're also getting the educational component of this as well. I love booklets because you are able to digest the information on your own terms. I think that people remember things more clearly when they've read them than if they've watched someone talking about them. Plus, if this information was in a video essay form, it would be like 45 minutes long, because you can't. It's just a different beast. And I think that printed materials are still very important and very valuable, and I'm so glad to see them here. So that's my review for Gothic Fantastico. I adore this box set. This is a release of the year for me. It's going to make my best of the year list already. I'll go ahead and tell you. And I highly recommend it for people that are looking for something that they haven't seen before, because the odds of you having seen these movies is pretty slim. These, I think one of these might have been in the public domain, but I should also mention new 2K transfers for everything. I should also say that Lady Morgan's Vengeance is in Italian only. The rest you get Italian or your choice of the English dub, but Lady Morgan's Vengeance is just in Italian, which is fine. But I watched all 4 of these in Italian. All right, that's my review. I'm so impressed with this. Shout out, hold on, I want to give credit where credit is due. Disc and booklet produced by Kat Ellinger and Michael McKenzie. Well done, Kat and Michael. Well done. Bravo. Bravo. Guys, that's going to do it for this one. If you've seen these movies, if you're picking this up, I want to hear about it. Let's talk about it in the comments below this video. I'm also going to put a link in the description of this so you can pick this set up. Highly recommended. All right. Thanks so much. Take care. Till next time, I will catch you later.